If you own the Witch Queen Dungeon Pass and you've completed the first mission for the Witch Queen campaign, Ikor will have a quest for you that unlocks the dungeon. Once you pick this up, you can launch the dungeon from the icon on Savathun's throne world near the Enclave. The dungeon starts you on Mars and you'll travel along a linear path with a few simple jumps. You'll eventually reach an area with buildings on both sides. One lone Vex will spawn. Take it out and that will spawn a horde of other Vex. Be especially careful of the Cyclops enemies camping the cliffside. Once the area is mostly clear, you'll want to focus on these Minotaur enemies named Conduit Minotaur. These are recurring characters that you'll encounter throughout the entire dungeon. When you kill one, a pool will spawn where it dies that gives you an Arctrician buff. Your objective with this buff is to shoot some nodes that will complete a circuit, thereby sending power through the area. You'll be doing this in pretty much every encounter. There are 4 circuits in this arena you need to complete. The first step is finding the starting node for each of the 4 power cables in the arena. This starting node always has a small panel with an arrow indicating the direction of the power flow beside it. Shoot the first node to start the power flowing. Once you shoot a node, you'll have a short window to find the next node in the power line and shoot it. Each time you successfully hit the node in the circuit, the power cable will glow blue up to that node. While the starting nodes are scattered around the arena, the ending nodes are all in the center. Continue shooting the nodes until all 4 circuits are complete. After activating the 4th circuit, a large hatch leading underground will open. Jump in and try to stick the landing. The next area leads to the jumping puzzle part of the dungeon. The first hidden chest is located in the jumping section. I'll let the video play out to show the path you want to take to the hidden chest and to the next encounter. I don't think there is much point in me narrating this part. Basic technique is to jump. Use stompies and line rampant if you have any trouble. I've added timestamps in the description if you want to jump straight to the hidden chest or skip ahead. The next section brings back the mechanic from the beginning of the dungeon. You'll need to shoot nodes in order to complete the circuits. There are 3 levels to this arena and 2 circuits that need to be completed on each level. Once you complete both circuits on the current level, a lift will activate that takes you to the next level where you'll repeat the process. This can be completed very quickly once you know the location of all the nodes. The enemies are here to slow you down. You can either clear them out or ignore them. The first level begins on the opposite side from where you climbed up. Circle the tower and you'll find a conduit minotaur. Kill it to start the encounter, then step into the pool to pick up the Arctrician buff. Right above the door where it spawns are the 2 nodes that start the circuit. Shoot both starting nodes, then follow the cables to find the next nodes. Since the cables travel in diverging directions, your team could split up to make this encounter a lot quicker. The only dangers here are missing your jump or getting overwhelmed by enemies. I used Huckleberry and Truth Teller with blinding grenades to keep the enemies manageable. If your buff runs out before you complete the circuits, conduit minotaurs will constantly spawn around the area. Just run around until you find one to regain the buff. Once both circuits are complete, the lift at the second level will activate. It's located at the endpoint for the circuits. The lift from the second level to the third level is a little tricky to find. If you face the opening with the arc energy traps, jump out to the nearby solar panels and the lift will be in the wall behind them. Repeat the process for the third level, and once both circuits are complete, the chest will spawn and the encounter is done. Behind the chest is a path where you can jump up. Follow this path to reach the top of the tower and the first boss encounter. Start the battle with Akelous by shooting the minotaur it's munching. This will cause enemies to start spawning and you'll need to find one of those conduit minotaurs to get the Arctrician buff. Once you have that, you'll be doing the exact same thing as the previous encounter. There are 4 starting nodes in the center of the arena that you shoot to activate. Now follow the cables and shoot the nodes along the way. The final nodes are located at the ends of each of the 4 arms of the tower. Simply follow the cables, shooting nodes until you activate the final nodes. A message will appear that states fuel rods activated to let you know that the circuit is complete for that arm. Upon completing the final circuit, a message stating all fuel rods activated will appear on screen. The boss will travel to the arm where the last fuel rod was activated and DPS will begin. Glowing spots will appear all along Akelous' body. Quickly shoot out these glowing spots, which will cause the boss center to light up. This spot is what you want to hit hard. Akelous will move away from you after a few moments, so weapons that allow you to hit from a distance are really good here. I'm using a Taipan linear fusion rifle in the video. I'm thinking Izanagi's burden on my next run. The bottom line is that you don't want to follow the boss too closely. Once the DPS phase ends, it will send out a pulse that pushes players away. This will send you into the abyss if you aren't careful. After the big boot, the circuits will reset. Repeat the same process until you finish off Akelous. A chest will spawn in the center of the arena and you'll go through a hatch beneath to the next area. Much like when you climbed the tower earlier, you'll now descend the tower, completing circuits along the way. There are 3 levels to complete and the process is identical. Find the conduit minotaur, pick up the Arctrician buff, then shoot the nodes until the circuit is complete. There is a hidden chest on the 3rd level. This is the level with the Hydra in the center of the room. You can find the chest beneath one of the stairwells. There's a vent cover that can be destroyed. Drop into this vent and the chest is at the end of the vent. There are also vent covers along the sides of this path that can be shot. I highly recommend exploring each one of these in depth. After grabbing the hidden chest and completing the circuit in this room, an opening will appear in the corner of the room. Drop into the opening and continue moving downward to the final boss arena. The fight begins by approaching Persys. 2 Incarcerator Hydra will spawn on the sides of the room. Take them out as quickly as possible, as the boss will tear you a new one if it locks onto you. Remember that anti-barrier weapons will shoot through the shields of the Hydra. Once both Hydra are destroyed, conduit minotaurs will begin spawning. As usual, take these guys out, pick up the buff they drop, and prepare to shoot some nodes. The first set of nodes you need to shoot are in the center of this room. There are nodes on each of the 4 columns. The 4 facing inward are the ones you need to shoot during this phase. There is another node located above the big door to the next room. Once all 5 have been shot, the large door between both rooms will open. As soon as the door is open, 2 more nodes on the 4 columns will activate. It will be 2 of the 4 nodes facing away from the center, and the 2 are randomly selected. The nodes you need to shoot start in the first room and end in the second room where the reactor is located. While it is not difficult to follow the cables, it can be tricky to shoot the nodes due to the constant enemy spawns and the boss running around. They're exploding harpies too, because of course they're exploding harpies. Before you complete the second circuit, make sure Persys is in the room with the large reactor. Once it's in place, shoot the final node to complete the second circuit. A message stating "Reactor Core Purge Armed" will appear on screen. Quickly leave the reactor room and make sure to pick up the Arctrician buff from a Minotaur in the first room if you don't already have the buff. After a few seconds, the 5 nodes you initially used to open the door between both rooms will become active again. Shoot these to close the big door between the rooms, which will trap the boss with the reactor. After a few seconds, a message stating "Reactor Core Purged" will appear on screen and the large door will open. The DPS phase begins as soon as the door is open. Be aware that if Persys does not get trapped in the reactor room, then you will lose the DPS phase. The circuits will all reset and the process starts again from the beginning. The damage phase lasts about 20 seconds, so you'll want to unload as much damage as possible as fast as you can. I was running a Bubble Titan with a Hothead rocket launcher. Someone else on the team was using Tether to debuff the boss. We also had a Gallahorn to get Wolfpack rounds for our legendary rocket launchers. The DPS phase ends when the boss goes immune, and you'll see a message on screen stating Persys overcharges its shields. At this point, the 2 Hydras will respawn and the entire process begins again. The nice thing about this encounter is that you can get back to the DPS phase fairly quickly once you have a good grasp on where all of the circuit nodes are located. Kill the Minotaurs, shoot the nodes, and keep chipping away at Persys until it dies. The chest will spawn in the middle of the room, and if you are lucky, you'll get a cowboy hat. I'm not lucky. I still have no hat.